The alarm bells rang through New Geneva Station like angry metal birds. Sarah Chen looked up from her coffee and watched the red lights flash on the walls. Around her, people moved quickly through the hallways. Some ran. Others walked fast with worried faces. "All station crew to emergency positions," the voice said over the speakers. "The Korthak ships are here." Sarah put down her cup and walked to the big window. Outside in the black space, she could see them coming. The Korthak ships were huge and dark. They looked like giant metal beasts with sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. Next to them, the human ships looked like toys. For 20 years, humans had fought the Korthak Empire. People called them the Reapers of Worlds. They had taken over 43 star systems. They killed millions of people on planets that would not give up. Sarah's own brother died fighting them 5 years ago. But today was different. Today, both sides wanted to try talking instead of fighting. The Galactic Council set up this meeting. Sarah was here because she studied aliens. She wanted to understand how different species lived and thought. The big doors to the docking bay opened with a loud hiss. General Morrison stood at the front with 20 soldiers behind him. All the soldiers had their hands on their weapons. The diplomats from Earth stood in neat rows. They wore their best clothes, but Sarah could see their hands shaking. "Remember," General Morrison said quietly, "we are here to make peace, but stay ready for anything." The Korthak ship connected to the station with a loud bang. Everyone jumped. The airlock door started to open slowly. Sarah could hear her own heart beating fast. First came the smell. It was like hot metal and something wild, like a forest after a storm. Then came the sound of heavy feet walking on metal floors. The footsteps were so heavy they made the floor shake a little. The first Korthak warrior came through the door. Sarah heard someone behind her say a bad word very quietly. Another person made a small scared sound. General Morrison's hand moved closer to his weapon. The alien was huge. He was almost 12 feet tall. His skin looked like black stone with silver lines running through it. He had 4 arms, each one as thick as Sarah's whole body. His hands ended in long, sharp claws that could cut through metal. Strange lights under his skin moved like slow lightning when he breathed. His face was the most scary part. It looked like a skull made of black metal. His eyes glowed red like hot coals. When he opened his mouth to breathe, Sarah could see teeth like broken glass. The other humans stepped back. Some of them stepped back a lot. General Morrison stayed where he was, but his face was very pale. The diplomats looked like they wanted to run away. But Sarah did not step back. She watched the giant alien carefully. Yes, he looked scary. Yes, he could probably kill everyone in the room without trying hard. But Sarah noticed something else. The alien moved very slowly and carefully. When he walked, he made sure not to step too close to the humans. When he breathed, he did it quietly, not loud and scary like he could. His forearms stayed close to his body, not spread wide to look bigger. More Korthak warriors came through the door. Each one was huge and covered in that same black stone skin, but the first one was clearly their leader. The others stayed behind him and waited for him to move first. "I am Thane Commander Vexithari," the giant alien said. His voice was deep like thunder, but he spoke quietly. "I come to speak of peace between our peoples." General Morrison stepped forward. His voice was not as steady as usual. "Welcome to New Geneva Station. I am General Morrison, leader of the human delegation." Vexithari moved to bow, like humans do when they meet someone important, but he was so big that when he moved, everyone thought he was attacking. Half the soldiers pulled out their weapons. The diplomats stepped back even more. Vexithari stopped moving right away. He stood very still. Sarah could see that he understood what happened. The other Korthak warriors behind him made angry, growling sounds. Their own claws came out ready to fight. "Wait," Sarah said. She was surprised to hear her own voice. Everyone looked at her. He was trying to bow. "It's a greeting." General Morrison looked at her with anger in his eyes. "Dr. Chen, please step back." But Sarah was looking at something else. When Vexithari had moved to bow, his big arm had hit a small plant in a pot near the door. The plant fell over. Now Sarah watched as the huge alien very carefully picked up the little plant and put it back where it belonged. His giant claws, which could cut through steel, gently touched the tiny green leaves to make sure they were not broken. A creature that could destroy cities was being careful not to hurt a little plant. Sarah looked up at Vexithari's face. For just a moment, his red eyes met hers. She saw something there that she did not expect. She saw someone who was trying very hard to be gentle in a place where he did not fit. The moment passed. General Morrison started talking about the meeting schedule. The diplomats began to breathe normally again. The Korthak warriors put their claws away. But Sarah kept watching Vexithari. She saw how he stood at the edge of the group, even away from his own people. She saw how he listened carefully to everything, but no one asked him what he thought. She saw how he looked at the humans not with anger or hunger for war, but with something that looked almost like curiosity. During the break in talking, Sarah made a decision that would change everything. While everyone else stayed in their own groups, she walked across the room. She walked right up to the giant alien warrior that everyone else was afraid to be near. "Excuse me," she said, looking way up at his scary face. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. I study different alien cultures." Vexithari looked down at her. Up close, he was even more frightening. His red eyes were like looking into fire. His claws were longer than her fingers. When he breathed, she could feel the heat from his body. "You are not afraid," he said. It was not a question. "I am afraid," Sarah said honestly, "but I'm also curious. I noticed the patterns on your armor. They look like they mean something." For the first time since arriving, Vexithari looked surprised. His red eyes got a little brighter. He looked down at his own arm, where silver lines made complex designs in the black stone of his skin. "You see patterns," he said slowly. "Most beings see only scars of war." "Are they scars?" Sarah asked. "They are." Vexithari paused like he was trying to find the right words in human language. "They are how my people write poetry. Each line tells a story. Each design holds meaning." Sarah smiled, even though she was still scared. "Would you tell me about them sometime?" Around them, both humans and Korthak stopped their own conversations to stare. No human had ever asked a Korthak about poetry before. No one had ever looked at their war scars and seen art. Vexithari was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something that no one expected. He smiled back. It was a scary smile with all those glass teeth, but it was real. "Yes," he said. "I would like that very much." And in that moment, something began that would change the future of both their peoples forever. The meeting room was big and cold. Two long tables faced each other like enemies getting ready to fight. On one side sat the humans in their dark blue uniforms and fancy suits. On the other side sat the Korthak warriors in their black stone armor that seemed to eat the light. Sarah sat at the far end of the human table. She was not important enough to sit with the generals and ambassadors, but she was there to help if anyone had questions about alien culture. She kept looking across at Vexithari, who sat at the end of the Korthak table, also away from the important people. Ambassador Williams started talking about trade agreements and border controls. His voice was high and nervous. Every few minutes he would stop and drink water. The Korthak listened but did not say much. "We propose a buffer zone of 3 star systems between our territories," Ambassador Williams said, reading from his papers. "No military ships from either side would enter this zone." The leader of the Korthak delegation was War Prime Torgan. He was even bigger than Vexithari, with more scars and brighter red eyes. When he spoke, his voice was like rocks falling down a mountain. "Your ships are weak," Torgan said. "Why would we agree to limit our strong ships because you fear them?" "It's not about fear," General Morrison said quickly. "It's about preventing accidents that could start a war neither of us wants. If you do not want war, why do you make your ships stronger every year?" Another Korthak warrior asked. "Why do you build more weapons?" "Because you keep attacking our colonies," Admiral Zhang said, her voice getting louder. "We take what is ours by right of strength," Torgan replied. "If you cannot defend your colonies, you do not deserve them." The room got very quiet and tense. Sarah could see that this was going badly. The humans thought the Korthak were just bullies who took things because they were bigger. The Korthak thought humans were weak and dishonest. Maybe we should take a break, Ambassador Williams said. During the break, most people stayed with their own kind. Humans talked to humans. Korthak talked to Korthak. But Sarah had been thinking about what Vexithari said about poetry and scars. She wanted to understand more. She found Vexithari standing alone near a big window looking out at the stars. His own people were on the other side of the room, talking in their growling language. None of them came to talk to him. The meeting is not going well, Sarah said, standing next to him. No, Vexithari said. My people think yours are weak because you talk too much and fight too little. Your people think mine are evil because we take what we need by force. What do you think? Sarah asked. Vexithari was quiet for a long time. I think both sides do not understand each other, he said finally. Humans see only our strength and think we are monsters. Korthak see only your gentleness and think you are not worthy of respect. But you don't think we're weak? Sarah asked. I have fought humans in space battles, Vexithari said. You fight differently than we do, but you fight bravely when you must. You protect things we would not think to protect. You save people who cannot fight. We do not understand this, but it is not weakness. Sarah was surprised. You've thought about this a lot. Too much, some would say. Vexithari looked down at her. Among my people I am like unusual, I think too much. I ask too many questions. Other Korthak think this makes me weak. Is that why you're sitting alone over here instead of with them? Partly. Vexithari's red eyes looked sad. I am a Thane commander. I have won many battles, but I do not enjoy destroying everything in my path. I try to find other ways when I can. This makes other warriors question my honor. Sarah felt something she did not expect. She felt sorry for this giant alien who could tear her in half without trying. That must be lonely. Yes, Vexithari said simply. Very lonely. They stood quietly for a while watching the stars. Then Sarah had an idea. You said the patterns on your armor are poetry. Could you tell me about one of them? Vexithari looked down at his arm. He touched a swirling pattern of silver lines with one claw. This one is about the first time I saw a nebula. The colors were so beautiful that I could not find words in our language to describe them, so I had the memory carved into my skin instead. You can see colors? Sarah asked, surprised. Of course. Why would you think we cannot? I don't know. I guess because you're warriors, I thought you only cared about fighting. We are warriors, yes. But we are also people. We see beauty. We feel love and sadness and wonder. We just express these things differently than humans do. Sarah looked at the other patterns on his armor. Now she could see they were not just random scars. They were like a book written on his body. How do you make these patterns? In ritual combat with blades that cut very precisely. It is painful, but the pain makes the memory stronger. Each scar is earned through struggle, so each poem means more. That's beautiful, Sarah said, and she meant it. Vexithari's eyes got brighter. You really think so? Yes, it's like you carry your whole life story with you all the time. No one has ever said that before, Vexithari said quietly. When the meeting started again, it went just as badly as before. The humans wanted detailed contracts with lots of rules. The Korthak wanted simple agreements based on honor and strength. Neither side could understand what the other wanted. This is pointless, Admiral Jang said after an hour of arguing. They don't want peace. They want surrender. Your people speak of honor but show none, Torgen replied. You hide behind laws and rules because you are too weak to stand by your word alone. We're not weak. General Morrison stood up. We've been fighting your empire for 20 years and we're still here. Barely, another Korthak warrior laughed. That was when Sarah decided to do something that surprised everyone, including herself. Excuse me, she said, standing up. Her voice was small in the big room, but everyone heard her. I have a question. Both sides looked at her. General Morrison looked angry that she was interrupting. Torgen looked confused about why a small human female was talking. Dr. Chen, Ambassador Williams said, this might not be the right time. I think it is, Sarah said. She looked at Torgen. You say humans are weak because we protect people who cannot fight. But isn't protecting others a kind of strength? It is waste of energy, Torgen said. The weak should become strong or die. But what if the weak become strong because others protect them first? Sarah asked. What if a small human today becomes a great warrior tomorrow because someone helped them when they needed it? Torgen frowned. This was not how he expected the conversation to go. Sarah looked at Vexithari. And you, she said to her own people. You think they're monsters because they take what they need by force. But what if that's just how they show respect? What if fighting someone means you think they're worth fighting? That's ridiculous, Admiral Zhang said, is it? Sarah asked. Vexithari, when your people fight, do you fight harder against enemies you respect? Yes, Vexithari said slowly. To fight with all your strength is to honor your opponent. And when you win, do you remember the brave enemies you fought? Always. Their courage becomes part of our story. Sarah turned back to the humans. They're not trying to destroy us because they hate us. They're trying to prove we're worth remembering. The room was very quiet. Both sides were thinking about what she said. This is an interesting way to think about it, Ambassador Williams said carefully. It changes nothing, Torgan said, but his voice was not as certain as before. Maybe it changes everything, Vexithari said quietly. All the other Korthak looked at him in surprise. He had been quiet all day, but now he was speaking up. What do you mean? Torgan asked. The human female speaks truth, Vexithari said. We have been judging each other by our own rules. But what if we tried to understand their rules instead? Humans have no honor, another Korthak warrior said. Do they not? Vexithari asked. They risk their lives to save strangers. They share their food with the hungry. They spend years learning about other people so they can understand them better. These things require courage. Sarah felt her heart beating fast. Vexithari was defending humans to his own people. That took real bravery. It is not the same as warrior courage, Torgan said. No, Vexithari agreed. It is different. But maybe different does not mean wrong. The meeting ended soon after that. Nothing was decided, but people on both sides were thinking. As everyone left the room, Vexithari walked over to Sarah. Thank you, he said quietly, for helping me find words for thoughts I could not express. Thank you for listening, Sarah replied, and for speaking up. It may cause me trouble with my own people, Vexithari said. Probably, but sometimes doing the right thing causes trouble. Vexithari smiled his scary smile. You understand more than you know, Dr. Chen. As Sarah walked back to her quarters, she felt like something important had started today. She did not know what it was yet, but she was excited to find out. Sarah could not sleep. She kept thinking about the meeting and about Vexithari. She got up and walked to the station's observation deck. It was late and most people were sleeping. She was surprised to find she was not alone. Vexithari stood at the big window looking out at the stars. His red eyes reflected in the glass like two small suns. Cannot sleep either? Sarah asked quietly. Sleep does not come easily when one's mind is full of new thoughts, Vexithari replied. May I ask you something, Dr. Chen? Of course. And please call me Sarah. Sarah. He said her name carefully like he was tasting something new. Why did you speak up in the meeting today? Your own people did not look happy with you, Sarah sighed. Because I could see both sides were wrong about each other. Someone had to try to build a bridge. Even if it made your own people angry? Especially then. Sarah looked out at the stars. I became a xenobiologist because I wanted to understand why different species fight. My brother died in the war with your people 5 years ago. Vexithari turned to look at her. I am sorry for your loss. For a long time I hated the Korthak. I thought you were all monsters who killed for fun. But today, talking to you, I realized something. You're not monsters. You're just different. And maybe if I can understand the difference, other people can too. Your brother. What was his name? David. David Chen. He was a pilot. Vexithari was quiet for a long moment. I may have fought against him. Many human pilots died in our battles. Probably. Sarah's voice was calm. But you were both just doing what you thought was right. You do not hate me for possibly killing your brother? Sarah thought carefully before answering. I'm sad that he died. I'm sad that any of them died on both sides. But hating you won't bring him back. Understanding you might help prevent other brothers and sisters from dying. You are very wise for such a young human, Vexithari said. I'm not that young. I'm 32. I am 543 years old, Vexithari said. To me, you are very young, Sarah laughed. I guess I am. What's it like living so long? Lonely mostly. You watch many things you care about and you see the same mistakes made over and over. You begin to wonder if anything you do matters. Is that why you think so much? Because you've had time to see patterns. Perhaps. Most Korthak live in the moment. Fight now, win now, take what you need now. But when you live long enough, you start to see that some victories cost more than they are worth. Sarah looked at him. That's what makes you different from the others, isn't it? You can see the big picture. Yes, and it makes me weak in their eyes. The next morning, Sarah woke up to find a message waiting for her. General Morrison wanted to see her in his office right away. When she got there, Admiral Zhang was also waiting. Both of them looked angry. Dr. Chen, General Morrison said, we need to talk about your behavior yesterday. What about it? Sarah asked, though she knew what was coming. You contradicted official human policy in front of hostile aliens, Admiral Zhang said. You made us look weak and divided. I was trying to help both sides understand each other better. That's not your job, General Morrison said. Your job is to provide cultural information when we ask for it, not to play diplomat. Someone had to try something different. The talks were failing. They were failing because the Korthak don't want real peace, Admiral Zhang said. They want us to surrender and call it a peace treaty. I don't think that's true, Sarah said. I think they want respect, and they don't know how to ask for it except through fighting. You've been talking to that big one, haven't you? General Morrison asked. Vexithari? Yes, that stops now, Admiral Zhang said. You are not to have any more private conversations with Korthak personnel. Why not? Because they're using you, General Morrison explained. They're feeding you their propaganda to make you sympathetic to their cause. It's a classic manipulation tactic. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest. He's not manipulating me. He's just talking to me like a person talks to another person. They're not people, Dr. Chen, Admiral Zhang said coldly. They're aliens. Dangerous ones. Don't forget that. I haven't forgotten anything, Sarah said. But I also haven't stopped thinking. Well, you need to stop thinking about being friends with the enemy, General Morrison said. That's an order. Sarah left the meeting feeling frustrated and angry. She understood why her commanders were worried. But they were wrong about Vexithari. She was sure of it. That afternoon, she found out she was not the only one having problems. She was walking past one of the Korthak meeting rooms when she heard angry voices inside. The door was partly open and she could hear them talking in their own language. She did not understand the words, but she understood the tone. Someone was in trouble. Later, during the peace talk, she noticed that Vexithari looked different. He sat even further away from the other Korthak than before. When he tried to speak during the discussions, Torgan cut him off. Thane Commander Vexithari will not be participating in further negotiations, Torgan announced. He has been reassigned to other duties. Sarah felt her stomach drop. She caught Vexithari's eye across the room. He looked sad and tired. That evening, she ignored General Morrison's orders and went looking for Vexithari. She found him in one of the cargo bays, sitting alone on a big metal container. Even sitting down, he was taller than she was standing up. I heard what happened, she said. I'm sorry. It was expected, Vexithari said. I spoke too freely. I showed too much interest in human ways. My own people think I have become weak. What did they say to you? That I am no longer fit to represent Korthak interests. That my friendship with a human has corrupted my judgment. That I should remember who my enemies are. Sarah sat down on a smaller box across from him. I got in trouble too. My commanders think you're manipulating me. Perhaps they are right, Vexithari said sadly. Perhaps I'm being selfish. I enjoy our conversations so much that I forget they may be dangerous for you. They're not dangerous. They're the most important conversations I've ever had. Why? Sarah thought about how to explain it. Because you're helping me see things I never saw before. You're making me a better person. You are making me a better person too, Vexithari said. Before I met you, I thought there was only one way to live with honor. Fight, win, take what you need. But you show me there are other kinds of strength. Like what? Like standing up for what you believe even when your own people disagree with you. Like trying to understand your enemies instead of just defeating them. Like being kind to someone who looks like a monster. They sat quietly for a while. Finally, Sarah asked, what happens now? I do not know. The peace talks are not going well. Both sides are getting more angry and suspicious. Some of my people want to leave and go back to war. We can't let that happen, Sarah said. How can we stop it? You cannot talk to me without getting in trouble with your people. I cannot defend you without getting in trouble with mine. Then we'll have to be more careful, Sarah said. But we can't give up. Too much depends on this. You would risk your career for peace, wouldn't you? Vexithari smiled. Yes, I would. Then we keep trying. We find a way to make both sides see what we see. And what is that? Sarah looked up into his red eyes. That we're not that different. We both want to protect the people we care about. We both want to live with honor. We both want to build something better than what we have now. You really believe we can do this? I have to believe it. Because if we can't learn to understand each other, then David and all the others died for nothing. Vexithari reached out with one of his huge hands and very gently touched Sarah's shoulder. His claws were sharp enough to cut through steel, but his touch was as light as a feather. Then we will find a way, he said, together. But even as they made this promise to each other, neither of them knew that forces on both sides were already working to make sure their friendship would not be allowed to continue. In the human section of the station, Admiral Zhang was meeting with other military leaders. The Chen woman is becoming a problem, she said. Her influence on the negotiations is undermining our position. In the Korthak section, War Prime Torgan was talking to his most trusted warriors. Vexithari has forgotten his duty to his own kind, he growled. Something must be done to remind him where his loyalties should lie. Sarah and Vexithari had found something special in their friendship, but they were about to discover that not everyone wanted humans and Korthak to understand each other. Some people on both sides made money and gained power from the war. For them, peace was not a dream to work toward. It was a threat to be stopped. Sarah woke up to the sound of alarms again, but this time they were different alarms. These were the ones that meant real danger. She got dressed quickly and ran to the command center. General Morrison was standing in front of a big screen showing space around the station. His face was white with worry. What's happening? Sarah asked. More Korthak ships just arrived, Admiral Zhang said. Big ones. Warships. On the screen, Sarah could see them. 3 massive Korthak battle cruisers had appeared out of nowhere. They were even bigger than the ships that brought the peace delegation. Their weapons were pointing at the station. Are they attacking? Sarah asked. Not yet, General Morrison said. But they're not answering our calls either. Ambassador Williams was trying to contact the Korthak delegation. Torgan, what is the meaning of this? These ships were not part of our agreement. Torgan's voice came over the speakers. He sounded different, angrier. The ships belong to War Prime Gulnash. He has come to observe? The peace talks. Who is Gulnash? General Morrison asked. Sarah felt her stomach turn cold. She had heard that name before, during her studies of Korthak culture. He's one of their most powerful war leaders. He thinks any peace with other species is weakness. Wonderful, Admiral Zhang said sarcastically. An hour later, the new Korthak delegation came aboard. Gulnash was even bigger than Vexithari, with more scars and brighter red eyes. Behind him walked 20 warriors, all of them looking like they would rather be fighting than talking. Sarah watched from the observation deck as they entered the station. She was worried about Vexithari. She had not seen him since yesterday. The peace talk started again, but now everything was different. Gulnash sat at the head of the Korthak table. Torgan, who had been the leader before, now sat to the side. Vexithari was not there at all. Where is Thane, Commander Vexithari? Ambassador Williams asked. He has been relieved of his duties, Gulnash said. His voice was like rocks grinding together. I am here to speak for the Korthak Empire now. On what authority? General Morrison asked. On the authority of strength, Gulnash replied. Vexithari showed weakness. He forgot that humans are our enemies, not our friends. Such weakness cannot be allowed in a Korthak leader. Sarah felt angry hearing Vexithari called weak, but she also felt scared. Where was he? What had they done to him? The new talks went very badly. Gulnash made demands that no human could accept. He wanted 3 more star systems. He wanted humans to pay tribute to the Korthak Empire. He wanted the right to take any human colony that could not defend itself. These terms are ridiculous, Ambassador Williams said. We might as well surrender completely. That would be wise, Gulnash said. But we do not expect wisdom from a weak species. We are not weak, General Morrison said, standing up. Prove it, Gulnash challenged. Fight us. If you win, we will consider your terms. If you lose, you accept ours. We're here to make peace, not to fight, Ambassador Williams said. Then you are weak, Gulnash said. And the weak do not deserve peace. They deserve conquest. The meeting ended with both sides angrier than before. As everyone left, Sarah tried to find out what happened to Vexithari, but none of the Korthak would talk to her. That evening, Admiral Zhang called Sarah to another meeting. This time she was not alone. 3 other officers were with her, including Colonel Martinez from Station Security. Dr. Chen, Admiral Zhang said, "We have a job for you." "What kind of job?" "We need intelligence on Korthak military capabilities," Colonel Martinez said. "Your friend Vexthari would be a good source. I told you he's not available for the talks anymore." "We know," Admiral Zhang said. "That's why this is perfect. He's probably angry at his own people for pushing him aside. That makes him more likely to help us." Sarah stared at them. "You want me to spy on him?" "We want you to gather information that could save human lives," Admiral Zhang said. "The peace talks are failing. When they do, we'll be at war again. We need to know what we're facing. Vexthari is my friend. I won't betray him." "This isn't betrayal," Colonel Martinez said. "This is survival. If you don't help us, a lot of humans are going to die. And if I do help you, a lot of Korthak will die," Sarah replied. "How is that better?" "Because they're not us," Admiral Zhang said coldly. "Your loyalty should be to your own species, Dr. Chen." "My loyalty is to peace," Sarah said. "I won't spy on Vexthari." "That's not a request," Admiral Zhang said. "That's an order." Sarah looked at all their faces. They were serious. "And if I refuse?" "Then you'll be confined to quarters for the rest of the talks," Colonel Martinez said. For your own safety, of course, Sarah felt trapped. If she refused, they would lock her up and she would not be able to help Vexthari at all. If she agreed, she might be able to find him and warn him about what was happening. "Fine," she said. "I'll try to find him." "Good," Admiral Zhang said. "Report back to us in 12 hours. Sarah left the meeting feeling sick. She hated lying, but she had to find Vexthari and warn him. Something bad was happening and she was the only one who could help him. She searched the station for hours. Finally, she found him in one of the maintenance areas, sitting alone in the dark. He looked terrible. His red eyes were dim and his shoulders were slumped. "Vexthari," she said, running to him. "I've been looking everywhere for you." "Sarah," he said, but his voice was flat and tired. "You should not be here. What happened to you? Where have you been?" "Golnash arrived yesterday. He challenged my authority and my honor. According to Korthak law, I had to respond." "You fought him?" "No. That would have meant civil war among the Korthak delegation. Instead, I stepped aside. I gave up my rank and my position." Sarah sat down next to him. "I'm so sorry. It is not your fault. Golnash was right about one thing. I have changed. My friendship with you has made me think differently about humans. In Korthak culture, that makes me weak. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise, perhaps. But wisdom without power is useless." Sarah took a deep breath. "Vexthari, I have to tell you something. My people want me to spy on you. They want information about Korthak military capabilities." Vexthari looked at her with surprise. "And you are telling me this because you're my friend, and friends don't betray each other. Even when your own people order you to? Especially then." Vexthari was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something Sarah did not expect. He laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound that shook the walls. "What's funny?" Sarah asked. "You are the bravest person I have ever met," Vexthari said. "Human or Korthak. You risk everything to do what you think is right. I'm not brave. I'm scared all the time. That is what makes you brave. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what must be done despite the fear. Is that Korthak wisdom? It is truth. And truth has no species." They sat together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Sarah asked, "What happens now?" "Golnash doesn't want peace. My people are preparing for war. Everything we worked for is falling apart." "I do not know," Vexthari admitted. "Golnash has the support of the war faction back home. If these talks fail, he will have the excuse he needs to launch a full invasion. Can't you do something? Challenge him?" "I have no authority now. And even if I did, Golnash is a better warrior than I am. He would kill me in single combat. Then we have to find another way." "What other way?" "The talks are over. Golnash will make demands your people cannot accept. When they refuse, he will claim humans are not worthy of peace." Sarah was quiet, thinking hard. Then she remembered something Vexthari had told her before. "You said Korthak respect courage above everything else." "Yes. And you said the highest form of courage is protecting others, even when you cannot win." "That is what I believe, yes. But most Korthak would disagree. What if someone proved it? What if someone showed courage so great that even Golnash had to respect it? How? Sarah was forming a crazy idea. It was dangerous and probably stupid, but it might be their only chance. Korthak law allows for trial by combat, right? Yes, but Sarah, you cannot be thinking, what if someone challenged Golnash? Not to kill him, but to prove a point about courage? He would never accept a challenge from a human. You are not warriors in his eyes. But what if someone challenged him for the right to defend a friend? Vexthari's eyes got wider. Sarah, no. Absolutely not. Why not? You said protecting others is the highest form of courage. He would kill you without thinking twice. You are not a warrior. You have no weapons, no armor, no training. I don't need to win. I just need to show that humans are brave enough to fight for what we believe in. This is madness. This is hope, Sarah said firmly. If Golnash kills me, at least everyone will see that humans don't back down from a fight. And if by some miracle I survive, maybe both sides will realize that we're not so different after all. I will not let you do this, Vexthari said. You can't stop me, Sarah replied. But you can help me do it right. Vexthari stared at her for a long moment. In his red eyes, she could see him thinking, weighing options, trying to find another way. Finally, he sighed. You are the most stubborn human I have ever met. Is that a yes? It is a prayer to whatever gods watch over foolish but brave souls, Vexthari said. Because tomorrow you are going to need all the help you can get. The next morning, Sarah stood outside the main conference room. Her hands were shaking, but her mind was clear. Inside, both delegations were meeting for what everyone knew would be the final time. Vexthari had tried all night to talk her out of her plan. He explained exactly how dangerous it was. Golnash was a master warrior who had killed hundreds of enemies in single combat. Sarah was a scientist who had never even held a weapon, but Sarah would not change her mind. Someone had to take a stand. Someone had to show both sides that there was another way to think about courage and strength. She walked into the room. All the humans sat on one side, all the Korthak on the other. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Golnash was speaking. Humans have proven they are too weak for real negotiation. We offer one final choice. Surrender 3 star systems and pay tribute, or face the full might of the Korthak Empire. Those terms are unacceptable, Ambassador Williams said. We will not surrender to threats. Then you choose war, Golnash said. He started to stand up. Wait, Sarah said loudly. Everyone turned to look at her. General Morrison's face was red with anger. Dr. Chen, sit down. You have no authority here. I have the authority of a human being who cares about peace, Sarah said. She walked to the center of the room between the 2 tables. Golnash, you say humans are weak because we will not fight. But what if we were willing to fight? Golnash looked down at her like she was an interesting insect. You fight? This is amusing. I challenge you to single combat, Sarah said clearly. The room exploded. Humans shouted in shock and fear. Korthak warriors made sounds of surprise and confusion. General Morrison jumped up. Dr. Chen, you will return to your seat immediately. But Sarah ignored him. She kept her eyes on Golnash. I challenge you according to Korthak law. The right of trial by combat. Golnash laughed, a sound like boulders falling down a mountain. You cannot be serious. You are not a warrior. You are barely even a proper enemy. I am serious, Sarah said, and I am here to defend the honor of my friend, Thane Commander Vexthari. That made Golnash stop laughing. In Korthak culture, defending a friend's honor was sacred. Even he could not dismiss it completely. Vexthari has no honor left to defend, Golnash said. He has been corrupted by weakness. He has been open to wisdom, Sarah replied. He sees strength where you see only weakness. He sees courage where you see only fear. And what do you see, little human? Sarah took a deep breath. I see 2 species that are more alike than different. I see people who want to protect what they care about. I see warriors on both sides who have forgotten that the greatest victory is the one that does not require killing. Pretty words, Golnash said, but words are not strength. Then let me prove my strength, Sarah said. Fight me. If you win, humans will accept your terms. If I win, you will consider our terms. You cannot win, Golnash said simply. Then you have nothing to lose by accepting my challenge. Golnash looked around the room. The other Korthak were watching him carefully. In their culture, refusing a formal challenge was a sign of cowardice. Even if the challenger was much weaker, honor demanded a response. But Vexthari stood up. Golnash, I cannot allow this. Sarah is not a warrior. This would not be combat, it would be murder. Stay out of this, exile, Golnash snarled. You gave up your right to speak when you chose humans over your own kind. I chose understanding over ignorance, Vexathari said. And I will not let you kill my friend to prove a point. Your friend? Golnash's eyes got brighter and more dangerous. This small human is your friend? Yes, Vexathari said proudly. She is the bravest person I know. Then you are both weak, Golnash said. He turned back to Sarah. Very well, little human. I accept your challenge. When I kill you, it will show both species what happens to those who forget their place. Wait, General Morrison said. We cannot allow this. Dr. Chen is a civilian, not a combatant. Korthak law is clear, Torgan said quietly. A challenge has been made and accepted. It cannot be withdrawn. This is insane, Admiral Zhang said. She'll be slaughtered. Yes, Golnash agreed happily. She will. Sarah felt her heart beating very fast, but she kept her voice steady. When and where? Now, Golnash said. Here. Let both delegations see what human courage looks like when it meets Korthak's strength. The center of the room was cleared. Korthak warriors formed a circle, as was their tradition for formal combat. The humans wanted to stop it, but Korthak law was involved now. To interfere would be to insult the entire delegation. Golnash drew his weapons. He had 4 arms, so he carried 4 blades. Each one was longer than Sarah's whole arm and sharp enough to cut through steel. His black armor made him look like a giant metal monster. Sarah had no weapons and no armor. She stood in the center of the circle in her simple blue uniform, looking very small and very human. This is your last chance to surrender, Golnash said. I might let you live if you beg properly. I don't beg, Sarah said. And I don't surrender. Golnash smiled his terrible smile and raised his weapons. But before he could attack, Vexthari stepped into the circle. Wait, he said. If this human is brave enough to fight for peace, then I am brave enough to fight for her. You cannot interfere, Golnash said. The challenge is between her and me. I invoke the right of the Sword Brother, Vexthari said formally. I claim the right to stand in place of one who fights for honor greater than their own. Sarah had never heard of this law, but the other Korthak were nodding. It was very old and very sacred. You have no rank, Golnash said. You cannot invoke ancient rights. The right of the Sword Brother belongs to any warrior who sees true courage, Torgan said quietly. Everyone was surprised to hear him speak. Rank does not matter. Only honor matters, Golnash looked angry. This was not going as he planned. Fine, but I will kill you both if necessary. You will try, Vexthari said. He turned to Sarah. Thank you, my friend, for showing me what courage really looks like. Wait, Sarah said. I didn't do this so you could die for me. You did this to show that humans and Korthak could understand each other, Vexthari said. Let me help you finish what we started. But Sarah had another idea. She stepped forward, still in the circle, still facing Golnash. No, she said loudly. I want to fight. You will die, Golnash said. Maybe, Sarah said. But I will die standing up. I will die fighting for something I believe in. I will die protecting my friend and working for peace between our peoples. If that is not courage, what is? For the first time, Golnash looked uncertain. Around the circle, both humans and Korthak were staring at Sarah. This small human female was willing to face certain death rather than back down from what she believed was right. You really mean to fight me? Golnash asked. With no weapons, no armor? No chance of winning? Yes, Sarah said simply. Why? Sarah thought about her answer carefully. Because someone has to show both our peoples that there are things worth dying for. Peace is one of them. Friendship is another. Understanding is a third. If I die proving that humans have courage, maybe it will help others live with less fear. Golnash lowered his weapon slightly. You would die for an idea? Wouldn't you? The giant warrior was quiet for a long moment. Around the circle, everyone waited. Finally, Golnash spoke. Among my people, we have a concept. The warrior's heart. It means someone who fights not for glory or conquest, but to protect something precious. It is the highest honor a Korthak can achieve. He looked at Sarah with new respect. You have the warrior's heart, small human. You are willing to die to protect peace between our peoples. And you, he said, looking at Vexthari. You have it too. You are willing to die to protect your friend. Golnash put his weapons away. I cannot kill someone who has the warrior's heart. It would be wrong. The room was completely silent. But this changes nothing, Golnash continued. You are still weak. Your peoples are still incompatible, are we? Sarah asked. You recognize courage when you see it. We recognize honor when we see it. You protect what you care about, so do we. You're willing to die for your beliefs. So are we. How are we incompatible? You fight differently than we do, Golnash said. Yes, Sarah agreed. We fight differently, but we both fight, maybe. Maybe different kinds of strength can work together instead of against each other. Vexthari stepped forward. What if Korthak warriors could learn human tactics? What if human soldiers could learn Korthak honor? What if our children grew up knowing both kinds of courage? Impossible, Golnash said, but his voice was less certain than before. Is it? Sarah asked. This human and this Korthak became friends. If we can do it, others can too. Ambassador Williams stepped forward. What are you proposing, Dr. Chen? A different kind of treaty, Sarah said. Not just about borders and trade, about exchange and understanding. Korthak warriors could train with human soldiers. Human scientists could study with Korthak philosophers. Our young people could learn each other's languages and customs. It would take generations, Torgan said. All the best changes do, Vexthari replied. Golnash looked around the circle. At Sarah, small but unafraid. At Vexthari, standing by his friend despite the danger. At the humans and Korthak who were listening to new ideas instead of just preparing for war. You have given me much to think about, he said finally.